Hello and welcome. We're going to do a sequence today, opening up through the shoulders and the thoracic, the upper chest. We're going to start out with cat and cow. And I'm going to turn sideways so that you can see the side view of me, because usually that's a little bit easier. So fingers spread nice and wide. Shoulders are directly over the wrists. Super important. Hips are over the knees. You exhale, rounding through the back. So your belly button comes up towards the ceiling. You tuck your chin in towards your chest. Now inhale, arching. Gaze comes up towards the ceiling if it's comfortable on your neck. Belly button down towards the floor. Exhale, round. Squeezing all the air out of your lungs. Inhale, arch. Continue with your breath, making your breath nice and deep, nice and smooth. We want each vertebra throughout your entire spinal column to get involved in the pose so that there's movement between each vertebra. So really using the entire length of your breath for the movement. You are strong through the arms, so the elbows do stay straight. Good, just a couple more. Good, and after your next round, come back to tabletop. That's a neutral spine. Just take a couple breaths at tabletop. Just really feeling what your spine is doing, how it's starting to open up and wake up. Good. Now we're going to move into melting heart. Anatasana is the Sanskrit name, but melting heart. So from tabletop, hips stay directly over the knees. The hands start to walk forward. And as the hands walk forward, we drop the chest down towards the floor. Start out with your forehead touching the floor. Again, hips are staying over the knees, forehead touching the floor. So you're reaching through your fingers. Fingers are spread wide, arms are straight. Your sternum bone, that's your breastbone, is dropping down towards the floor. If you do not have neck issues, so like whiplash, either current or history of it, you can turn your gaze forward so that your chin is on the floor and you're looking at your thumbs. This is intense on the neck, so if you start to feel lightheaded or it's pinching in your neck, then just reverse and go back to the forehead on the floor. Couple nice deep breaths here. We're opening up through the shoulders, through the armpits, through the neck, and through the upper spine. So through that thoracic region. That thoracic region is the area where your rib cage is attached to your spine. So nice deep breaths. Good. 2 more breaths. Make them deep. And slowly walking your hands back into tabletop. So again, at tabletop, just a couple deep breaths. And from here, we're going to move into downward facing dog. So in tabletop, walk your hands just a little bit forward, tuck your toes under, hips come high. So think about your sit bones reaching up towards the sky and then pulling back. Your knees can bend, especially if you're tight through your hamstrings, or the legs can straighten. Either one is fine, but if you have tighter hamstrings, it's best to keep your knees straight. Strong through the arms. Press the floor away. Fingers are spread wide. Make sure your feet are hip distance. Nice long deep breaths. So we are working to have a nice long lengthening from our sit bones all the way down to our hands up to our sit bones. Elbows are straight. Keep reaching those sit bones back and rolling them up towards the sky. Good. From here, we're going to shift forward into plank pose. So we're shifting the weight forward so our shoulders come over our wrists and our legs are strong. Our lower belly pulls in towards our spine So we're thinking about pressing the floor away to help strengthen the arms. We're building strength through our shoulder girdle. Okay, now I'm looking at the floor, but I'm not letting my head hang down towards the floor. I am also not looking forward. So we want nice long lengthening all along the spine, and our neck is part of our spine. If you need to, you can drop your knees to the floor. That's a modification. You'll still be building strength through the shoulder girdle and through the core, but it just drops things down a notch, so it's not quite as intense. And as you'll notice, my hips are not sinking down towards the floor. They're also not sticking up. Down and up. My body is a nice long plank. Okay, push back into downward facing dog. Go ahead, drop your knees down to the floor, coming into child's pose. So your hips sink back towards your heels. Knees can be nice and wide so that your abdomen can come in between, or the knees can be together. Your choice. Usually one feels a lot more comfortable than the other for people. It's your choice. Try both ways. Good. Forehead rests on the floor. Hips are nice and heavy. Good. Nice and slow. Roll up to sitting on your heels. We're going to do some neck stretches. So from here, you can either sit on your heels. If that's not comfortable, you can put a block or a blanket in between your thighs and your calves. If that still is not comfortable, you can sit up on a block, or you can do this standing. So, arms straight, fingertips reaching towards the floor. If you have long arms or long fingers, that might be super easy, and you can press your palms towards the floor. My palms are nowhere close to the floor, so my fingers are reaching towards the floor. Sitting up nice and tall, so the lower belly draws in, and your spine is nice and long. Drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Still reach through those fingers. Arms are straight. So we're reaching the fingers towards the floor to help anchor the pose. We're stretching along the side of the neck, so you should be feeling it along here. The scalene muscles, there are 3 of them. Okay, so close your eyes, just take some nice deep breaths. Good. From here, your ear still drops down towards your shoulder, but your nose rotates down towards the floor. Good. Keep reaching through the fingers. So as you rotated your nose down, you probably felt a shift of where you feel the stretch intensity in your neck. So it probably shifted to one of the other muscles or a different attachment site. Good. Keep the ear dropping down towards the shoulder. Nose comes forward and then rotates up towards the ceiling. May not go very far up towards the ceiling, but that's okay. Again, you'll feel a shift through the neck of where the intensity of the stretch is. Again, nice deep breaths. Good. Bring your nose forward. Head back to center. Just take a breath here. Notice the difference side to side. Good. Taking the other side. Left ear towards left shoulder. Again, spine stays nice and long. You're still lengthening up. Reaching through the fingers, arms are straight. Let your head be heavy as it drops over to the side. Good. Still let your head be heavy. Rotating the nose down towards the floor. Nice deep breaths. Imagine your breath getting to the area where you feel it the most. So those intense sensations, visualize your breath getting to those spots. Good. Keep the head dropping to the side. Now rotate the nose up towards the ceiling. Keep breathing. So these are great stretches to open up through the neck, but also for anything through the arms. It's the place where the arms, the nerves come out of the neck. They go through the scalenes underneath the collarbone and out into the arms. So if you start to get tingling, numbness, if your arms fall asleep very easily, this may be a place to start working. Good. Nose towards the front of the room. Then the head comes back up to center. Just take a couple breaths. Hands onto the floor in front of you. Come back into downward facing dog. So fingers spread wide. Hands are shoulder distance. Feet are hip distance. Strong through the arms. Again, your knees can bend if you need to. Couple nice deep breaths. Think about pulling your sit bones back and up. Staying strong through the arms. Good. Shifting forward into plank pose. Shoulders are over the wrists. Fingers are spread wide. Nice and long through the neck. Lower belly sucks in towards the spine, but it doesn't restrict your breathing. Just helps to activate the core muscles. Legs are working, so you're lifting your kneecaps, which helps to engage the quadriceps. And you're thinking about pressing energy out through your heels. Keep breathing. Good. Downward facing dog. Good. Releasing down onto your knees. We're going to use the wall for a pose that's called wailing wall. So you want to be standing on your knees, about maybe 1.5 feet from the wall. Knees are hip distance, and your hips are stacked right over your knees. Arms come up overhead, then you place both hands onto the wall. You're reaching your fingers up the wall as you let your sternum, your breastbone, come towards the wall. Hips stay over your knees. Your gaze can be up at your thumbs, or you can be looking forward at the wall. This is the exact same pose as melting heart, but we are oriented differently in relationship to gravity. So as opposed to us letting our heart melt down towards the floor, we're letting it melt towards the wall. Similar stretch, similar action through the muscles, but different force of gravity. Nice deep breaths. Good. 2 more breaths here. Good. Bring your sternum away from the wall. Walk your hands down. Good. Sitting back onto your heels. So we'll go ahead and grab our noodles. If you don't have a noodle, this is just a simple swim noodle that I chopped up. If you don't have a noodle, you can use a foam roller. You can also use a blanket rolled up nice and tight. So we're going to lay it on the floor, and we're going to lay over that noodle so that the tips of our shoulder blades are on the noodle. We're letting our head drop back. The back of the head will be resting on the floor. If the back of the head does not come to the floor, if you're kind of like hovering or your chin is way up towards the ceiling, you need to use a blanket to support under your head so you have a little pillow. Okay, arms are out to the side. They could also be up overhead, but they are on the upper part of the noodle as opposed to down here. You're not going to get as much of a chest opener if they're over the noodle. Okay, so arms are overhead or out to the side. Your choice with your legs. I'm doing Baddha Konasana really because the wall is in the way, but your legs can be straight. That's fine. If you want, you can also bend the knees, feet on the floor with the knees knocking towards each other. Okay, so here we're laying over the noodle, opening up through our thoracic spine once again. So we're getting a nice opening through our chest, our pec muscles, opening up through the heart. So close your eyes, take some nice deep breaths. I really want you to think about that breath coming all the way down into the abdomen, the soft tissue of the belly, and keep that breath nice and deep as you let gravity and time do the work. So if after you've been here for a little while, if your arms start to get tingling or starting to fall asleep, you need to adjust your arm position to see if that will relieve that sensation. Nice deep breaths. Keep breathing. This pose is an excellent one to help open up through the thoracic spine. We're opening the front side of the body so that the back side is not overstretched and doing that rounding forward. So the shoulders tend to round forward, especially in our society these days. This helps to counter that positioning. You are welcome to stay in this position longer. We will do today on the video. You can stay up to 5 to 7 minutes. That's totally fine. To come out, you're going to lift your head, tuck it towards your chin just a little bit, and roll on to your side. You're probably still going to be on that noodle a little bit, but then you can use your hand to press into the floor just enough so you can slide that noodle out and come back onto your back. Take a full body stretch, arms overhead, arms and legs out straight. Really reach, reach, reach. Make yourself as long as you possibly can. Good. Now tuck your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. So squeeze them in tight. Good. And we'll take just a quick Shavasana. Arms out to the side. Palms turn up. Legs are out straight. Feet are at least hip distance. And let your feet flap away from each other if they want to. Shavasana is the final pose in all yoga sequences. Super important to do. Lets your body absorb the work. Just let your body relax. Starting to deepen your breath. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. Circling your wrists and your ankles. Good. Bending your knees and rolling onto your side. Use your arm as a pillow under your head. Keeping your eyes closed. Use your hands, press into the floor, and put yourself up to seated. So just come to that seated position. Just take a breath or two. Just noticing how your body's feeling. Put your hands together at your heart, honoring the time you spent with your body.